Solemn, a short story by Nina. The thick, heavy clouds of breath linger before slowly rising and fading into the grayish blue sky. Each breath in is ice burning in my lungs. The light from the bright sun dances across the snow, causing me to squint. Even though the fiery sun is bright, there is no warmth outside of my body. The warm blood freezes to the small hairs around my mouth. The chase was long, and I need a minute to collect myself. This territory is not safe, but I sense no immediate signs of danger and allow myself the needed rest. The wind sings as it dances across the blanketed pine trees, and a layer of fine white dusty powder builds up on my eyebrows and behind my neck. I shake the snow off when I'm ready. The fur is already cold, and the small deer's body is starting to become stiff. Warmth fills my face as I make my way to the liver, still hot and delicious. Next is the heart, followed by the lungs, until all of the easy-to-get meat is in my stomach. I allow myself to rest once again, this time feeling full and relaxed. I take time to bury my face in the snow, drying the blood and cleaning it off of my face. This was the first meal I have eaten in 4 days. The second time this winter I've been without food for so long. I thank the deer and its ancestors for providing me nutrition and life. I must not make waste of this gift, and I lift the much lighter carcass into my mouth and head back to the cave. As the nutrition spreads through my body, I must still remain on high alert. The trip will be long, and the smell will certainly attract much larger predators. I take 50 steps, which feels more like 1,000, in deep, cold snow. I set the carcass down respectfully while I catch my breath and listen and feel for signs of danger. All is clear, so I continue for several hours. The wind is in front of me, which makes traveling less fun, but helps me to smell what might be ahead. The wind continues to sing as I dance the happy dance back home. The blue fades from the sky, leaving a deep gray as the time passes. Normally, this would mean it's nearly time for me to wake up, but this hunt made me stay up during the day. I look forward to the rest this night will bring. The cave appears over several steep hills onto the side of a very familiar mountain. Even covered in layers of snow, I can still tell where the blackberry bush to the left of the cave entrance is. It is only October, but I already dream of spring. Daydreaming. I make it to the cave entrance faster than I expected. My daydreaming is quickly taken over by habit and ritual. I dig a small hole next to the blackberry bush in the snow to hide my carcass. Before burying it, I quickly jump on top of the cave and hike up a few more steps to check who may have been watching me. It is quiet now, and even though the sun has fallen behind the trees in the distance, I can see clearly for miles. There is almost a dead silence here because the wind has stopped. Most animals have settled down now, but I'm usually awake before now. The animals try to be quiet at this time to make it harder for me to find them. I lift my strong head slightly higher into the air to see if I catch any dangerous smells. I can only smell the little bits of dried blood that are still attached to the fur just between my eyes. All signs point to a safe night. Safe for me anyways. I return to the open hole with the carcass and push the snow over the opening to hide the scent and take one last look behind me before entering the cave. I am dead tired. I inspect the cave to make sure no visitors came while I was gone for 4 days. I'm happy to be home and to not have to sleep in another camp. I never really sleep when I have to make a campsite. I close my eyes and a vision of the little deer appears in front of my eyes as an orange glowing light. The light deer bows to me, thanking me for being respectful and killing it quickly. More lights appear on the sides of the small deer. These lights are brighter with less orange in them. The little deer turns away from me and joins the bright lights to become a giant circle of light that rises up into the sky and becomes the sun. I am asleep now. I look down from the giant glowing sun and I see the stream at the base of the mountain. There is no snow and there are tall grasses growing near the edge of the water. Instead of a blanket of white snow, the ground is filled with green grass. Instead of icy cold air, I breathe in warm air, and I can smell the insects and the moss growing in the rocks and trees. The dream is very real, so real that it might just be a memory instead of a dream. The best part of having a stomach full of fresh meat and being this tired is that when I sleep, I have the strongest dreams. I control some parts of the dream, but some things I can't change, like the direction the water moves in the stream, or when I wake up. Do I have to stop dreaming? The dream slips away and I can hear my snores. I take a deep, full breath in and slowly let it out before opening my eyes. I lift my head off the dirt and look around the familiar cave before slowly rising and stretching my spine and each of my hind legs. My tongue hangs out to the left over my powerful teeth as I yawn, deep and long. I'll only be awake for a few hours so I can get back on my normal schedule. I no longer feel overfull, but I'm not hungry either. It is a strange feeling when you're so used to being hungry all the time. The small deer was healthy, and the meat on the carcass will still provide me with another complete meal that will take me a little bit longer to eat. It won't fill me up like the organs do, or keep me full for as long, but I won't waste even a bite of this precious carcass. Even though I am not hungry, I start daydreaming about my carcass. Wind blowing over the cave entrance creates a deep sound that vibrates the whole cave, and I focus on walking out. I check for smells and sounds before completely leaving the cave. I look and see that there is a new layer of snow covering the bump next to the cave where the carcass and blackberry bush are hiding. There are small dips in the snow from where I walked yesterday, and I see no other tracks or other signs of animals for miles. I start trotting slowly down the mountain and over towards where the stream would be if the snow were melted. My territory is very large, and I follow one of my 7 paths through the land that covers it. This path is the more difficult path, but I have the energy of the small deer in my brain and my blood. I'll have enough energy and strength to run this trail quicker than usual. At the south end of my territory, I arrive at giant lakes' frozen edges. The wind blows the snow off the ice so I can see where the lake would be. Normally the lake acts as a boundary for my territory, but when the ice is this frozen, I can safely travel farther out. The wind suddenly picks up and I can see swirling snow dance and fly across the frozen lake. Between the quiet wind, I catch the smell of something I shouldn't smell this time of year. The smell is fresh and reminds me of much warmer weather I won't see for many months. The wind is coming from the south of the lake, so I carefully and slowly head towards the smell. The smell makes me hear splashing water even though it is impossible in winter. Sometimes my memories take over my mind, making me think it's real. The smell is real, but the splashes I hear are not. I know I am moving farther than I normally do, but the smell of the rotting trout keeps me heading south. I can see the southern tree line in the distance, and the smell is getting stronger. I haven't tasted fish for many weeks, and even though I'm not hungry, I must go inspect how the smell is happening in the winter. Suddenly, the wind stops blowing. This doesn't stop the smell of fish filling my nose, so I must be close now. I have to be careful though, because no wind means that I can't smell what might be coming. I walk more slowly, but still towards the strong fish smell. I stop every few steps to look up and around to make sure I am alone. I notice darker ice in front of me. It must have broken somehow, but how could the ice break when it is so thick? I examine the ice and notice a tiny air bubble trapped under the newly frozen ice. Suddenly, the bubble starts to bounce under the ice. I look up when I hear a bird screeching, flying out of the forest and over the lake. The bubble in the ice starts to jump faster and eventually splits into 2 bubbles dancing in the water. Then I start to feel the ice vibrate. I hear thunder that sounds like it is getting closer. It almost sounds like trees are falling over and over again. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a giant snowbank floating towards me. I squint to see more clearly and notice that the floating snowbank has two giant red eyes. That is not a snowbank. My memories don't recognize this creature, but its movement is familiar. It feels like forever in my brain trying to figure out what this could be. I freeze in place as I recognize the giant white snowbank with eyes looks like a bear, but bigger. The bear moves so fast it looks almost like it's flying, except that its head jumps up and down. The massive bear looks bigger the closer it gets, and I start to think if I should run. I can't run faster than this bear, so I'm still frozen in place. The thunder sound happens faster, and the giant white bear opens its gigantic mouth, and I hear a howl that lasts forever. Just before the bear reaches me, I dive to the left. The bear's massive belly touches my hind leg and it skids over the dark ice. I turn to see where the bear is going, and suddenly the ice breaks and the giant white bear falls into the ice, creating an explosion of water onto the ice. My body is moving, but my eyes are watching the bear almost climb out of the ice. Without thinking, I am running back north to my territory. The bear falls into the icy water again as more ice breaks. When I reach the deep snow on the other side of the giant lake, I see the white bear climb out of the water and onto thicker ice. The bear shakes off the cold water and decides not to chase me. I am safe, for now. I stick to my trail and stay in my territory. I am lucky to be alive. I'll remember not to chase fish smells in the winter anymore. I'll have nightmares about the giant white bear I've never seen before. Where did it come from? The sun is directly above me, signaling it is time for me to go back home now. I need to get some sleep before night comes. My body feels heavy, and I am ready for a nap. I approach the base of the mountain and head up to the cave. Nothing has messed with the carcass and all is clear. I lay down in the cave and close my eyes. I remember the glowing deer turning into the sun, and I quickly fall asleep. In my dream, I head down to the stream again to get a small drink of cold water, preparing to travel down one of my 7 trails in my territory. I notice a figure in the distance that looks odd because it is with the wrong color for spring. Suddenly, I see the giant snowbank with eyes floating towards me, and I hear the thunder too fast to be real. Just like at the lake, I am frozen. I see the giant white bear open its mouth, and I can see nothing but darkness. Just as the darkness eats me, my eyes pop open. Night is here, and it is time for me to get up. I stretch and take a deep breath to calm down and head out of the cave. Something is not right. I notice the snow is messed up near the blackberry bush. There's a piece of brown fur and streaks of red in the snow. This can't be happening. I dig down until I hit the ground and I see the blackberry bush. It's gone. How can this be? Why is this happening to me? Suddenly, my questions turned into anger. I climbed out of the hole and I looked across the land. I only saw small dips from my own tracks. There was no sign of any other animal was near me. I had to get revenge. I am Solemn, the great majestic gray wolf. I raised my head into the sky where the moon was rising, and I howled, "My carcass!"